What's up, Fallible Nation? Welcome to another edition of Fallibation on the show where the host can't talk straight, apparently. Welcome, guys, to another edition of Fallible Nation Live, our live online coaching, whatever you want to call it, guys. Mainly, this is just a place to connect with the community and share some real life coaching tips with you guys that can help you as you journey on to be the best version of yourself. Wow, my light just went out, guys. So if I'm dark, I am so sorry. Apparently, I did not charge one of my lights. Oh, rookie mistake. I can't believe I messed that one up. But you know what? We'll limp along. You just get a better view. I'm not quite as bright today. But guys, I'm excited about tonight's show because tonight's show makes me laugh a lot. But hey, I'm going to get ahead of myself. So let's go back to my notes and get into this show, right? Are you tired of being bombarded with the latest fads and trends in personal development? Do you feel like there's just too much noise and not enough substance out of there? They read my mind, right? Lost in a sea of terms like bulldog mindset, Redpill, Spartan Lifestyle. Look no further. The way of the spirit man, not the book, is actually very simple. This show cuts through the hype and delivers tried and true strategies for personal growth and development. I promise, nothing complicated. Just get ready to ditch the fads, the sales propaganda, the spin that everybody's got to put on it, and discover the path to true success and fulfillment in your personal growth journey, guys. I promise it is not near as superly complicated as everybody seems to make it. But before I get too far ahead of myself, let's get into the show. All right, guys. I get wrapped up about this one because this one just it hits a tender spot for me. I'm a little about this tonight because there are so many idiots out there making my life harder as a personal development coach and a men's coach because they just keep putting out nonsense. And so this one got under my collar a lot. If you can't tell, I'm kind of just like tonight, and it's because this topic just gets to me. But guys, before we dig in, all right, no matter what platform you're joining us on, whether you're on LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube, joining us from whatever platform, guys, there is a link down in the description below you. And if you're not going to be able to stick around through the whole show and want to make sure that your questions get answered, you can leave us a question there. You can also queue to come on the show live during the question and answer portion and ask your question live on air. We'd love to have you on to visit with us and take part in the show. Otherwise, put a QQ in front of your questions over in the comment section and jump into the comment section. Let us know you're here. Jump in the live chat. It makes the show so much more fun. I see Shirley's with us. Hi, Shirley. Thanks for being on tonight. And guys, just let us know you're here, taking part of this. Join the conversation. If you watch the show enough times, you'll know that I actually get sidetracked because I start enjoying the conversation myself, and it's hard to stay focused because I just love watching my community come together and support each other. Now, the show brings the most effective and reliable strategies for personal development and growth that we can, right? That's our goal. Our goal at the Fallible Man is to help men and women, but mostly men, right? That's our focus. But you know what? We're glad to help anybody along the way. Our goal is to help people become their best selves, right? Whether you want to improve your relationship with your kids, with a spouse, with your friend, at work, whether you want to pick up that side hustle to take some of the strain off, or whatever it is you want to do, right? Maybe you just want to improve in yourself mentally. Maybe you want to move forward in your profession. We're here to help you with realistic personal development growth and strategy. Personal growth and development strategies, guys. I cannot talk tonight. Wow. Sorry about that. Guys, and it chaps my hide. It gets under my skin because we live in a world where new fads and trends seem to pop up every single day. And it can be really difficult to know what works, what doesn't. Hey, Jill. Yes, personal development is important. I'm glad you're joining us. It's hard to know. There's a sea of information. This happens in almost anything anymore, whether it's fitness, whether it's diet, whether it's job development, right? We get paralysis by analysis because there's just so much. There's so much flying at you. And everybody's got a new idea and everybody's got the fast fix. And most of it's a bunch of crap. It's marketing. But it's difficult to know what works and what doesn't sometimes. That's why we're so focused on just trying to stick to some really basic, tried and true principles here. We created this show to help cut through some of that noise and just focus on those tried and true, time tested, long standing. They work. Things actually work. Whether you're looking to improve that relationship or advance your career, whatever it is you're after, we've got you covered. That's what we want to do, is help you with just honest, achievable steps to grow. So when I see new things pop up, it really frustrates me because it just muddies the water, right? So recently, I do a lot of research as a coach and as a podcaster, right, in this field. And I came across this idea of a bulldog mindset. And I went, wow, that sounds fun. What's a bulldog mindset, right? Naturally, I'm intrigued. So what I found was a men's group, and a bulldog mindset, by their own definition, is basically a rebrand of every other self-help and the base concepts of stoicism, just neatly wrapped up into a package and rebranded, right? Reselled. And it just was like, oh, okay. Well, I was really kind of hoping for something new, but now we've introduced another stupid term that doesn't actually move the needle. And it's just one more, thing screaming out there to get your attention. What's really fun is they didn't research well, because the Urban Dictionary lists the term bulldog mindset as a derogatory term. And I know, right, the Urban Dictionary is really subjective, but the Urban Dictionary defines it in a derogatory manner as an individual who is simple, bullheaded, overly assertive asshole. My paraphrase of the thing, but that's what it was, right? It was not a flattering description when it came to a bulldog mindset. It was kind of hilarious. It's like, I hope I researched my name better than that when I created the Fallible Man. You see, the problem I see is the same idea is just rebranded over and over and over again. It gets noisier and noisier, and it keeps getting related, and this becomes trendy, then that becomes trendy, and all of a sudden we're tripping over all these different dogmas that are circling around the same ideas with just their own spin. Now, I say the same things over and over again a lot. Sometimes just because I know I'm thick and I got to hear things more than once. Most of y'all are probably smarter than me, but I know I'm a little thick. So sometimes I got to hear things more than once. But the things I repeat over and over again are because they're time-proven concepts that just work. Not complex, not fancy, things that just work. In fact, I promise you here and now, I will never label them the Fallible Man mindset. No, just kidding. I will never try and pass them off as entirely my ideas, guys. I won't try and sell them as that they're an original Fallible Man original, or even that they're entirely my concepts. I've just learned these concepts. I've applied certain ones in my life. I found what works for me, what doesn't work for me. I found what moves the needle. And I'm going to keep sharing them with you because they work, because I want you to have success in your personal development journey as you journey to live your best life. Personal development isn't complex. It's not always one-dimensional. It has some core principles that foundationally make it possible. And then you can get a little creative around it based on your goals. But the core concepts of actually achieving personal development are very foundational, and they are pretty one-dimensional. So that's what we're going to cover tonight, guys. 5 very simple principles. You've heard them all on this channel before, I promise you, because these are at the core of everything we do. This is tried or true personal development. It's very simple. Everything after this becomes very dependent on your goal and your intention. What is you're trying to achieve in your life, whether it's relational, whether it's professional, whether it's physical, whether it's emotional, right? We can mix those special sauces. That's why there's things like coaching, right? Is we can customize those things to fit your goals better. But the core of everything personal development actually really breaks down to 5 really simple principles. So that's where we are tonight, guys. We're going to go through them. It'd probably be a fast show because I've talked about all these, so you probably know them all. But I just wanted to get past all the dogma. I am tired of all the movements. I'm tired of the red pills and the dog pills and the blue pills and the whatever. I'm tired of the stupid. I really am. I'm just tired of the stupid. Personal development is achievable for anybody. You just have to nail down 5 concepts. Okay. The first one is humility. This one is a big struggle for a lot of people. Change, growth, development requires humility. Let me tell you why. Okay. You can't improve in any way without accepting that you have room to improve. That requires humility, right? Now, I know everybody watching this is pretty damn fantastic, and we all know I'm pretty perfect, but you have to be willing to say, I could be better. I could improve. I don't know everything. Ooh, that was hard to swallow. I don't have everything worked out yet. I don't have all the answers. Right? These are uncomfortable terms, especially in our modern society. We don't like these terms because we want to pretend we have it all worked out. We want to pretend we've got everything worked out and everything's under control and everything's great, right? That's why we have the standard greeting. Hey, how you doing? No one actually wants the answer, but that's why the standard answer is, oh, fine. Everything's not probably fine in your life, but that's the standard answer, right? Because we want everybody else to think that we're pretty stinking perfect. We're not. So the first step to personal development, an absolutely critical step to personal development, is humility. You got to come with some humility because you have to accept that you have room to grow in order to grow. Pretty simple, right? If you're with me, let me know. I'm putting everybody to sleep tonight, but let me know. Humility. Number 2 is discipline. Change only happens, and it will only happen if you have the discipline to see it through. You can wish, you can want, you can hope, you can dream big dreams, and you can intend to get around to things. And you can do that with anything you want, but you're not going to get anywhere without discipline. To grow and affect any kind of change in your life, you have to develop discipline. Motivation will fade. Inspiration is transitory, actually. Discipline will see you through the end of the race or to the finish line of whatever you're trying to do. It's what you rely on when it gets tiring, when it gets boring, when it gets exhausting, when it gets difficult, when it gets emotional, when it gets challenging. Discipline is what carries you, not motivational speeches or posters, not inspiration from somebody else. Discipline is what will carry you through. When it sucks, discipline is how you still get through it. It's that simple. Number 3, guys. Jill says, oh, Sarah's with me. Jill says, needed to hear that regarding health goals. I'm right there with you, cuz. Right there with you, man. This is something I have to work on because my discipline is weak sauce when it comes to ice cream. Moment of truth here. My discipline is pretty weak when it comes to ice cream. Ownership is number 3, guys. Now, I preach ownership a lot because, and I realized I've never really explained this. Okay. So I read Jocko Willink's Extreme Ownership several years before I ever started doing The Fallible Man. And for me, when I read it, it was just one of those books where I was like, yes, because he put into eloquent words things I've been feeling my whole life, but I've never actually explained why this really hits me. So my whole life, I've seen people pass the buck along, right? Pointing fingers. One company I worked for, meetings were so hideous because the first 20 minutes of the meeting was everybody from every department pointing fingers at everybody else. Before most people even knew what the problem was, it was like, well, it wasn't us. It must have been them. 20 minutes, I kid you not, of finger pointing before we even got the problem on the table. because that's the way our society is with most things. And I've seen people pass the buck and blame other people all my life. And in doing so, they give away their power and they don't know it. See, I remember being really frustrated in junior high and high school because I couldn't afford to get caught doing anything wrong. My dad was a minister, and usually a minister in a small town, and small towns spread new rumors really quick. But the problem was, with my father being a minister, no matter what I did, it never came back on me. Yeah, I got my hand slapped or whatever, but right, my parents caught it 10 times, 20 times worse because my dad was a prominent figure in our community and someone people looked up to. And no matter what a great father he was, because I was blessed with an amazing father, no matter what I did, it all fell on him. Well, y'all must have done something wrong. Y'all didn't raise him right, right? It was always their fault. I had amazing parents. I just had a bit of jackass streak. I wanted to do what I wanted to do, like every teenage kid. Now, I felt like I was actually being robbed of my individuality. I know this sounds like a really dumb thing, but I really felt like I wasn't valuable enough to be a real person because they didn't want to hold me responsible. They wanted to blame my parents, and it pissed me off. They weren't me. My parents weren't me. I was an individual who could make my own bad choices without much help. Trust me, I can make the bad choices. And I was perfectly capable of making the bad choices despite knowing I shouldn't make those choices. Trust me, my parents taught me I shouldn't do some of the things I did. I knew that already. It wasn't that my parents didn't love me. It wasn't that my parents didn't teach me to do better things. It was I decided to do something stupid, but I would never get held responsible by the community, only by my parents. And so I felt like I really had to guard what I did because I didn't want my parents to get blamed for me being a little dork, right? When you take away ownership, you lose who you are and you lose the ability to have a choice in things. You become a victim, and a functional victim is pretty much useless. You give away all your power to fix things, and you give away all your power to make your own decisions and be a person. And so I harp on this one because this is a really tender spot for me. I have some definite deep-seated feelings about this. And I really I acted out sometimes because I wanted somebody to yell at me and hold me accountable and not blame my parents. So as an adult, that's something I've always craved and it's something I've always valued. So reading that book was just like a woo, big high five to feelings I already had. Guys, ownership will get you through personal development because you have to have power to make things right on your own. If you don't own it, you can't change it. If you don't own it, you can't make necessary changes. You can't make necessary decisions. You're powerless to affect your life until you start to own your life. And with that, you have to own everything, good, bad, in between. You have to own it all. It's not, you can't have just part of it. You just can't own the good stuff and blame the bad stuff on other people. You got to own it all. It's the only way you will be able to effectively change in your life. Number 4, continuing education. I'm not talking about college or school. I'm talking about the fact that if you were to learn every minute of every day for your whole life, you would never run out of useful knowledge and you will never actually know it all. It's just a fact. There is too much knowledge in this world. I was talking to my oldest daughter the other day, and I told her there are people who have dedicated a lifetime to studying the arts of yoga and mastering yoga. And it just blew her mind, just for a minute. I know you're watching, Abby, so yeah, talking about you. But the idea that someone could dedicate 30, 40, 50 years to yoga, it's like, Honey, yoga's been around for thousands of years. And there's multiple sides to yoga. Some people see it as spiritual. Some people just think of it as emotional or mental healing. Some people look at it for the physical aspects. There's a lot to it. So according to Pew Research, a Pew Research study, 24% of adults have not read any form of book in the last year. That's astonishing to me. Reading time per day is on a drastic decline. Now, reading used to be about the only way you could educate yourself outside of formal education, but that was a long time ago. Now we have books at the tip of our fingertips, whether you like them on audiobook, digital copy, or actual paper copies, whether you like podcasts, whether you like YouTube videos. Yes, there is educational stuff on YouTube, like this show. There are all kinds of masterminds and seminars and classes. There are websites that have all kinds of courses you can take. Education, the ability to educate yourself, is at an all-time high for the history of mankind. We live in such an exciting time where there's no limit. I mean, the amount of things you can learn off YouTube is stupidly astonishing. But one thing has not changed in all this time is to grow as a person, you have to continue to learn no matter what your goals are. You have to keep learning. If you stop learning, you're not going to grow anymore. We're going to jump over to the comment section. Jill says, if you're not growing, you're going backwards. I would agree 100%. Sarah says, reading is the single greatest tool to enable learning from the cradle to the grave. I would also agree because I spend a lot of time reading and learning that way. Guys, and if this is ringing true with you and you're looking to take that next step in your life and you need a little help stepping over that hurdle, you need someone to walk alongside you for a while to help you stay accountable, help you put together a focus plan, be sure and check out our website, www.thefallibleman.com, and sign up for a discovery call. They don't cost you anything. And if I'm not the right person to help you, I will be the first person to tell you that. But our coaching, we've done a soft opening with our coaching program, but our coaching is open. Soon we will have group coaching in place as well as a private community site. But I'll tell you more about that one later. That's in the works. Number 5, self-care. You cannot grow without taking care of yourself. You may get way smarter. You can read 1,000 books, but without taking care of your health, it just proves you're dumb. It proves that you can be intellectually intelligent and still dumb. Without your health, the world gets harder. We know there are a bunch of illness and diseases associated with poor diet, lack of exercise, lethargic lifestyle. We know science is beyond proven, not the nonsense they spout on the news, but actual real science is beyond proven that taking care of your health is critical to the longevity of your life. But we're not just talking about taking care of your physical health. You have to take care of your mental health. You have to take care of your emotional health. You have to stop and prepare and take care of you, right? It's the illustration of putting the mask on yourself in the plane first before you try and help somebody else. Because if you pass out, you're just dead weight and a liability to somebody else, right? You can't help somebody else that way. As you age, you lose your strength, and without working to prevent it. Without mental health and things that stimulate your mind, like reading, meditation, reflection, challenging games, right? We have games now that will help stimulate your brain. What an amazing time for all of us who don't want to read all the time, right? You have games that will actually challenge your mind. That's a beautiful thing. Without personal health care, right? Without taking care of your emotional, physical, mental, physical needs, your spiritual needs, you're just dead weight. You're not helping anybody else, and you're certainly not growing. You can't grow as a person unless you take care of the person you're trying to grow. Now, guys, it's that simple. It really is. I want to pretend it's hard. No, I don't. I was going to say, I want to sell you some patented program. It's not. I'm tired of the stupid. I'm tired of everybody making it hard. Everybody can grow as a person. Everybody can be who they want to be. Everybody can reach their goals. With these 5 core principles, the rest is just dressing after that. If you come in it with some humility and leave yourself room to grow, if you work on your discipline and build your discipline, if you practice ownership because that gives you power to grow, discipline will take you across that finish line. If you keep educating yourself, you can continue to expand. And if you take care of your health, you'll be around to do it, right? 5 very simple principles. I don't know why people think it's complicated. It's really not. Personal development is not mysterious. Everybody is capable. I promise. Now, guys, that's the meat of the show right there. That's what I really wanted to share with you tonight. We do have one question, so we're going to roll into some Q&A time. So, guys, if you have more questions, be sure and hit that QQ or hit the form. I'm not seeing anything there right now. But if you got any questions, we're moving to that portion of the show, so let's move into it. Oh, look, and I should absolutely redo that little video bit because it still says Manly Monday from my old show. Whoops. Mental note, Brent needs to fix that. Sorry. Guys, the question at hand tonight is, how can you maintain a professional relationship with someone who has a different work style or different priorities than you do? This one came into the website. There is a form over on the main page of the website. If you click home, there is a form right at the top of the page where you can leave questions for the show. That way we make sure and answer your questions. You don't have to wait until the show to think of these questions. It also gives me more time to prep so I can give you a better answer because I want to give you a quality answer as much as possible. So here's my answer, guys, to how can you maintain a professional relationship with someone who has a different work style or priorities than you do. I'm actually intimately familiar with this because this was a big reality for me for a while. So to maintain a professional relationship with someone who has different work styles or priorities, there's a couple different things you need to consider, okay? A, it's important to be open and honest about your expectations and to clearly communicate about your needs and what's going on. Clear communication and expectation is really, really important. Number 2, you need to focus on finding the common ground and focus on working there. If you get caught up in the differences, if you get caught up in the pain points, it will negatively affect your attitude for the whole situation. And it will definitely strain that relationship. And in the professional case, it could strain both of you keeping your jobs. So focus on the common ground and working in that area. Number 3, clearly define your roles and tasks. If you have a difficulty working with a person because of the different work styles or their priorities or goals, then sometimes the best thing you can do is divide the task between the two of you and just outline what each of you are responsible for. If you're going to do that, make sure and put it in writing so that if you get called on the carpet for it, you can be like, well, this is what we agreed to. We agreed to split up these tasks. And that way you're covered. Your boss is still going to be hacked that is not done, but it will cover you minimally. Number 4, focus on working on the shared goals of the project, not on your individual habits and your individual styles. Number 5, focus on their strong points and yours. Shut up, Siri. Focus on your strong points, their strong points and yours, and divide work in a way that you complement each other. This can be really difficult, especially if you have different opinions and don't see eye to eye on things. But focus on the strong points of the other person. Okay, not everything about them is bad. Not everything about them is difficult. They may get under your skin. They may not work well with you, but they do have their strengths, and so do you. So focus on using your strengths and theirs to complement each other and work together better. The next one is try to understand the other person's perspective, their work style, and their communication needs. So I'm asking you to step up and maybe be a little bit of the bigger person here. So you can communicate effectively with them. Okay. If you can take yourself out of your perspective and look into their life, their perspective, their work style, try and see it from their side and try to understand the way they communicate effectively, then you'll be able to communicate more effectively with them because you'll understand it. With that thought, continue with the idea of their love languages. If you've been on the channel long, most of you are familiar with my references to Gary Chapman's 5 love languages. It's a phenomenal work, but it's not just for romantic and marital relationships, guys. It is for all relationships. In fact, the 5 love languages has been more beneficial for me at work than even at home, because I already had a pretty good idea of what Sarah needed from me. I'm not always good at doing that, but I do have a better idea of what my wife needs from me. But this has been very effective in helping me to understand my coworkers, as the way we communicate, as the encouragement and support we need, right? The positive reinforcement we need, the way we give and receive that is very different. This has helped me to learn to communicate better with them. If you understand what they'll respond to, what they need to feel good and encouraged, that will help you interact with them in a more effective way, because you can speak to them in ways and communicate with them in ways that affirm them and encourage them and elicit a better response, because you're speaking the right language to speak to the good parts of them that will respond to that, right? I'm not trying to manipulate somebody. I'm saying if you understand what they need to feel appreciated, then you're going to understand how to work with them better, even if you're very different things. So that's the answer, guys. That's a long answer. It's not a quick breakdown, but you absolutely can maintain professional relationships with someone who has a different work style with you. I had to go through this at my last job. I had a coworker who, as a person, I had a lot of respect for him. As a coworker, we just did not see eye to eye. We had very different styles. We had different communication techniques. We had different ways of feeling appreciated, of feeling supported, of the way we needed to communicate, right? I was much too confrontational and aggressive for his style of communication, which made him shut down when he was working with me and limited our communication. That's on me. Our relationship at work got better when I slowed down and I applied these things that I'm talking about, because then I started to see it from his perspective. I started to understand how I needed to communicate with him, how I needed to interact with him for him to feel appreciated for his contribution to what we were doing, and as a coworker to feel appreciated and not disrespected. And we broke down things into our strong suits. He was really great at some stuff that I hated doing. And so we learned to work it out. It was exactly this process, guys. And it sounds simple in a list. It's going to take some work, but I promise this will entirely make dealing with this situation a lot better for you guys. I hope that helps. Thank you for the question that came in. You have the option to leave or not leave your name when you leave a question. So thank you for that. I hope that answers your question. Guys, if this helped you tonight, be sure and share it with a friend. That's the best thing you can do for the show, is just to share it with friends. Our goal, our heart here at the Fallible Man, is to help as many people as possible. I want to help as many people as possible reach for the life they want to have in a purposeful way, to step into the man they want to become, the man they want to be. And so share this with somebody you care about. Guys, I promise it's not hard to be a better person. It's not hard to reach that. A superior man is the man who never stops working on himself. The way of the superior man is simply that: a person who continually works on themselves and leaves themselves room to become better. Don't overcomplicate it. As always, be better tomorrow because of what you do today, guys, and we'll see you on the next one.